Well, hey, my fellow classic rock and classic metal guitar fans. Hope you're well. Today, Falling Off the Edge of the World and Black Sabbath from the band's 1981 album, Mob Rules. In my opinion, one of the absolute standout tracks from this album, and one of the standout tracks from Sabbath's entire career. Sadly, it's a track that doesn't get the love and attention that many of the more high-profile Black Sabbath tracks get. And that's what I'm here for, because I'm going to show you guys how to play it. All of it. Going to have a look at the intro, the main riff, all of the rhythm parts, so on and so forth. Been learning and practicing this one for the past couple of days, so I think I've got it well enough under my belt at this point to teach it to you guys. That said, apologies for any slight inaccuracies. However, with regards to the solo in this one, we are going to change things up just a little bit. Now, initially, I wasn't going to include the solo in this tutorial at all, because one, that's more work, and two, it's one of those solos by Tony Iommi that has multiple guitars playing on top of each other within it. Either that or loads of delay, bleeding all the notes together. Really difficult to pick apart and to decipher what's going on. So what I did is learn the live version of this solo relatively close. So I'm going to show you how to play that instead, just as a bonus. Fair enough. That way you can get yourself through the whole track if you like. His live solo to this one slays, by the way, so I don't think you'll be too disappointed in this turn of events. Better than not including the solo at all, I think. Regardless, let's close in here a little bit, learn how to play Falling Off the Edge of the World by Black Sabbath. Good then, Falling Off the Edge of the World and Black Sabbath. We are tuned down 1/2 step for this tutorial, and here's your tuning. Pretty clean tone on our amp for this intro. We're going to kick on a little bit of flanger as well, as I think he's using flanger on the studio version of this track. And we're starting with an E minor add 9 chord, this chord right here. Think of it as like a B power chord, 2nd fret of the A, 4th fret of the D, but along with the open E string and the open G string. So you kind of have to get up on the tips of your fingers here to free up that open G. We're just going to ride down the strings. And when you get to the open G, you're going to lift your index off the 2nd fret of the A, drop it onto the 2nd fret of the G. And then ride back up to the D string, which you're still holding on the 4th fret of the D string. Now we're going to slide that pinky up to 5 of the D, and then grab the 3 of the A, which is now C power chord, right? And then repeat. But when you repeat it the second time, instead of going 5 to 3 of the D to the A, we're just going to lightly brush a C power chord on the downstroke. Kind of like that. Repeat. And you're going to repeat that little pattern, I think, 6 times, twice before the vocals come in, and then 4 more times once the vocals start. And then we're going to transition out of that into A, into this. So we're switching into A. We have our index now on the 5 of the G, 7 of the D, along with the open A, open B, open E. And we're just going to ride down the strings. And ride back up to the G string. String skip back down to the high E. Now we're going to take our middle finger here, which is doing nothing right now, drop it down onto the 6 of the B string while we're still holding this chord, ride up the B, G, and D string, back to the high E, and then B, G, D again. And and then you repeat the whole thing. And then we're going to jump into this little chord here, off to an A power chord. So that little chord, barring the 3rd fret of the G, B, and E, pinky on 5 of the high E, and just ride up the strings into an A power chord. And that's the Mellower intro to this one. Let's just quickly recap. So you're going to repeat that 6 times, and then we're going to shift into A. And repeat that twice. And that's the opening. Let's move on to the heavier section. All right. Got a little more gain on our amp now, and so we're moving into this heavier section here. It goes something like this. Yeah, lots of power chords going on here. D power chord into an E power chord, sliding. And when you slide into that E power chord, you're going to hit it again. Now we're going to drop down here to a G power chord on the D and the G string on the 5/7. And then you're going to back it up, back up your index to the 4, off to the open D, and then drop into a D power chord. So, then we're going to hit that D and slide it into E again. Hit it again. Back to G. And again, you're going to do the same thing. Back your index up to 4 after you hit the G power chord. Off to open D. Back to the G. Slide it into A. And then hit it again. Kind of like that. So from the beginning. Back to D, repeat. Back to G, into D. Now we're going to chromatically ride this down to C. Back to G, back to D, off to an E power chord at the neck position. So that's that whole section. Let's run through it. You can do 3-finger power chords or 2-finger power chords. I think he's probably doing 3-finger power chords. Really heavy. Good. And then we're into the main riff. Which get used to playing that because you're going to be playing it a lot for the rest of the track. So we have our pinky on the 7th fret of the A string along with the open E. We're going to hit that twice on the downstroke, those 2 strings together. And then you're going to go 4/5 of the D. Now you're going to do a trill between 4 and 5. And then grab the 5 of the A on the upstroke. and then the 7 of the low E also on the upstroke. So it's like a little mini sweep, because those two notes are very quick in succession. There's no way to pick them otherwise than 2 quick upstrokes. Kind of like that. And then drop right back onto that 7th fret of the A for another 2 downstrokes with the open E. And then you're going to go 4, 5, 7 of the D string. Back to the 5, pull it off to 4, then grab the 7 of the A string. And then repeat. So that is going to continue throughout the first verse. Halfway through the first verse, as a little break between the first and second verse, we're going to jump into a D power chord, hit it in 3 groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, down to the G power chord, augment it off to the 4th fret, back to the D, back to the main riff 3 times. Now, right after that, you hit that note this time, we're going to jump into a C power chord, off to a B, and then 3, 2 of the low E string. Back into the main riff. Now we're into the second verse. That continues throughout the second verse. End of the second verse, we're going to jump back into the D power chord again for 3 groups of 3. Back down to the G. Augment it off to the 4, back to the D power chord, then back into the main riff just 2 times this time. And now back into the D. This time we're going to hit it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this is the chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're going to grab the 3rd fret of the A, off to the 2, off to the open, and then back into the D again. 5 times this time. And then a very quick little shift down here to this augmented G power chord, and then shift it right into the G power chord. Kind of like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then quick little shift there, back into the main riff. 4 times. Back into D, 4 times. 3, 2, open, 4 times. Down to the G, off to the augmented, into the D, and that leads right into the solo. So that is the verses. So let's run through that whole section there of the first 2 verses. I'm not going to play the main riff as many times as it needs to be played. I'll play it maybe like 4 times, and then I'll do the changes, but know that it goes on much longer. Second verse. Chorus. And that leads right into the solo at that point. Now then, the solo. Let's run through the solo at a fairly relaxed pace. Going to show you guys how to play it. And that's the solo. So it starts with this classic blues lick. We're in E, by the way, for the solo, E minor, using the E natural minor scale. That classic blues lick right there, bending 14 of the G, little 12 off to 15, pulling back off to 12. Right there, we're going to repeat that, I think, 10 times. And then the final time, we're just going to pull off 15 to 12 back onto 15 and hang on that 15 for a bit. Into this. Finishing with a full step bend on the 15. And then we're into a bit of a scale run. It's just all chromatic, pentatonic, right up the scale, right? Actually grabbing the blue note as well in here. Right there. So that's the scale run that he does right there. And now we're going to kind of ascend the scale run. Because now we're getting up into some bends on the 17. So we're going 10 off to, or 12 off to 10 of the A string, sliding into 14. And then just going basically right up the pentatonic scale. Another slide there from 14 to 16. And then 15, 17, 15, 17, full step bend. Right? From the beginning. Good. You're going to hang on this 17, give it a couple of more bends into this. Finally ending up on the 17 with a step and a half bend. So from the ascending scale run. Into this. 15, full step bend. And then a little pull off on the blue note here, 15, 14, 12. And then back onto 14, back off to 12. And then we're into another little scale run. Goes something like that. It's pretty loosely played, but and pretty quick, but I think I got it pretty close. Lots of little chromatic runs going on here on the 12, 13, 14 of the D string. So that's that lick. Right? Now we're getting into some trills, and we're going to trill right down the pentatonic starting on the 12-14 of the A. And then go right down to the high E. Reverse. until you get to the D string. When you get back up to the D string, you're going to string skip down to the B and start over. Up to the A, now string skip back down to the G, and then on to the B with the trills. So the whole trill section. And then when you get back to that B, you're going to just trill 2 or 3 times, and then finally go into a full step bend on the 15 of the B. Into this. And then one final little run finishes the solo. And then slides out of it. And that's the end of the solo. Let's run through it nice and slow, and then we'll be done. 10 times. Lost count. And that's the end of the solo. And then we're back into the main riff for the third verse. And at the very end of the track, as the track is finishing up, we're going to go from that main riff into a C chord off the B, G, G flat, open E. Back into the main riff. You're going to repeat that 4 times. And then finally, end of track. And that, my friends, is how you play, what's it called again? Falling Off the Edge of the World. Forgot what I was teaching there for a second. Certainly hope you found that helpful and accurate, I suppose. You know, it's a bit of a mix between the studio version and the live version. So, you know, but it's the best I could do. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please hit that like button. Drop me a subscribe if you haven't done that, as that would be awfully kind. Hope you're well out there in your little guitar corner of the world, wherever that may find you. And we will see you next time. Cheers.